Hey everyone, so I'm going to address the infamous questions that realtors get all the time. What do you predict in terms of the future of real estate, or at least the near future? So RBC published a great article that I'm going to highlight some key areas, but the general consensus is Canada's housing market will cool but stay strong for 2022. So most of the increase in supply and cooling off of the market will take place in the second half of this year. It's projected that Canada's benchmark price will rise 6.2% in 2022, or nearly a third of the record rate of 17.8% last year. The momentum of the market will be even slower in 2023, with most markets finally returning to a better balance. In the near future, the outlook for home prices still remains very strong. So as we all know, sellers ended 2021 in full control of virtually every local market, and that's bound to keep property values rising rapidly in the initial months of 2022. Competition between buyers will remain strong, so inventory was at an all-time low in all of the provincial housing markets, and many smaller markets saw bidding wars for the first time as people left larger cities, often to move to smaller areas. It's expected that this will continue as well in the near future. The changing housing needs of millennials, so those that are in their mid-20s to early 40s, will continue to generate substantial activity in the market, especially for homes suited to families. Ownership rates typically rise significantly between the ages of 25 to 29 and 40 to 44, and millennials will remain the biggest source of first-time home buyers and an increasing source of move-up buyers. The Canadian government welcomed 401,000 new permanent residents in 2021, so this year's target for immigration is 411,000. This means the number of newcomers actually setting foot on Canadian soil and looking for housing is set to jump. This wave of immigration will impact the rental market first, as most new immigrants rent their first homes, but we could also see a boosting effect on the ownership market as well. Canadians on the whole are in remarkably good financial shape considering the effects the pandemic has had on our economy. So while mortgage debt is rising fast by more than 10% year over year most recently, mortgage delinquency rates or failure to make payments remain historically low. Households' net worth is at a record high, and savings have been substantial in the past 2 years, thanks to not only government support, but simply fewer places to spend. Some of those savings flowed into the housing market, but we expect there will be less extra money available in the years ahead as restrictions ease and spending patterns normalize. Many Canadians will want to reallocate their budgets on things like travel and dining out at the expense of housing investment. So the main event this year for the market will be the Bank of Canada's rate hike. So we expect the central bank to initiate rate increases this spring. This increase on its own will have a significant cooling effect on demand within the housing market. Exceptionally low interest rates have been the force for home buyers' appetites throughout the pandemic. This is expected to fade after a few rate hikes make buyers' interest payments tougher to manage. The increase in rates is likely to affect the mortgage qualifying rate at some point in the second half of this year, or possibly sooner. This could very well push some buyers to the sidelines, at least temporarily. A Bank of Canada rate hike could change things for investors. So investors played a large role in the market last year, accounting for slightly more than 1 in 5 real estate purchases. The federal government is working to introduce measures that could ban foreign buyers from purchasing non-recreational properties for 2 years, which would open up the market for permanent residents. They're also talking about tightening down payment requirements for investment properties, tax gains on flipping properties, and curb excessive profits on investment properties. So higher interest rates and policy efforts will likely cool down investment activity in the future. So this is a key part of what's needed to rebalance the market and tame some inflated prices we are seeing. From a market risk perspective, the rate increases that are being contemplated would likely not derail activity or cause prices to crash. There's reason to believe 2022 will finally be the year more supply makes its way to the market. Supply chain bottlenecks and labor shortages pose significant challenges in the new construction market. It's expected that builders will boost completions in 2022 to nearly 250,000 units. So this would be up significantly from an average of 190,000 units annually over the past 5 years. The increase in building is unlikely to fully address the supply shortages on its own, but with calmer demand, it will noticeably reduce the imbalance in our market. It's projected that new housing completions will rise even more in 2023 and possibly beyond. Municipalities have considerably ramped up building permit issuance in the past year, and this will keep the residential construction boom going. So many, including the federal government, have put forth more resources or incentives to municipalities to speed up project approval processes and rethink zoning regulations. This would allow medium density developments to take place, which is desperately needed in our market. So the overall landscape for housing will begin to shift in 2022, but don't expect any abrupt changes. These will be the first steps on a long road to normalization. It's predicted that 2022 will be a remarkable year by almost any standard, unless we compare it to the market of 2021. Take care. Have a great day.